please be outstanding.
Okay, please sit down, everybody. Right, good morning everyone and welcome to our Monday morning assembly. I hope you enjoyed your weekend despite the weather. Now, this is the start of our final full week in school and there are lots of exciting things for you to look forward to. In your PE lessons, for example, you've got an opportunity to try a variety of new activities and hopefully experience some healthy competition. Arts Festival is starting on Wednesday. There's an art exhibition which is displaying the amazing IB artwork. There are plenty of musical performances including a Rachmaninoff concerto, busking, a drumline and rock on the rock. There are drama performances including monologues and the middle school production of The Tree. And there's the reading of Euripides' Greek tragedy The Bacchae. There are dance performances and a fashion show. And of course, I'm sure you're all looking forward to this year's Canon's Follies. There is something in the Arts Festival for everyone, so please enjoy it. So it's my pleasure today to introduce Mr. Yi, who is going to be delivering our address. Mr. Yi is a long-standing member of staff at NLCS Jeju. He was the founding head of the junior school and more recently head of parent relations. Unfortunately, he's leaving us this summer, but he has a wealth of experience and I'm sure you're going to really enjoy his talk today. So join me in welcoming Mr. Kieth Yi.
Good morning. Firstly, I want to just say that I'm very grateful to have this opportunity to speak with students as we close out the school year, which has been quite an interesting, to say the least. As Mr. Cole said, that I'll be leaving at the end of this school year. It's been a joy actually seeing all the former junior school students grow up, graduate, and doing so well in senior school. We have two of them right here, Shine and Helen. This morning, I want to just talk to you briefly about two very significant events that are taking place right now around the world. And in teaching, there's a saying called teachable moment. And it refers to an unplanned opportunity for learning something about a particular aspect of life through an event or experience. The first event that I want to talk to you briefly about is, I think we are all familiar with at this point, the new normal. I'm talking about the pandemic. We've been struggling with this for the past 4 or 5 months. And they say that pictures are worth 1,000 words. So I'm just going to show you some images that I'm sure many of you may have seen before. So last month, around the first week in May, I don't know if you remember, but there was a time for about 3 days or so when we had 0 confirmed cases of domestic COVID-19, which was quite significant, obviously. And I saw this article called "What's Behind South Korea's COVID-19 Exceptionalism?" At the same time, my home state, back in New York, they were reporting thousands of cases of COVID-19 as well as hundreds of deaths every single day. So in this article, the writer talks about some countries hinting that the success of Korea's COVID-19 response was due to Confucianism and submissive collectivism. Basically what that means is that people care more about the group rather than the individuals. So this writer said that by attributing Korea's success with COVID-19 to country's culture was a very racist way of looking at this issue. Actually, the reason why Korea did so well with COVID-19 was because we learned a lesson from past history. Those of you who may remember MERS outbreak, the most recent one in 2015, but also there was SARS outbreak in 2002. And during those epidemics, that there were hundreds of Koreans who died. And the reason for that was because of lack of preparedness, and also the government and the public health agencies, they were underprepared for the epidemics. So we learned a very valuable lesson from that experience. And because of those lessons, I believe that we had a lot of success with COVID-19 this time around with the pandemic. The second current event that I would like to talk to you about this morning is, I'm sure you've seen this image on social media. I'm talking about Black Lives Matter movement and protest. I know that the Global Awareness Committee recently did a message wall to bring more awareness about this issue. This protest is taking place all around the world right now, back in New York, in London, even in streets of Seoul, in Myeongdong. And whites, blacks, Asians, all of them, young and old, are participating in the movement because of this man who I believe the funeral was just 2 days ago, George Floyd, who passed away because of police brutality. During the Global Awareness Committee's message wall, I believe that there were some individuals who put on the post-it that all lives matter. And I just want to take a brief moment to say that that is inappropriate at this time, and any time for that matter. So why saying all lives matter is a problem? Well, there's a very good analogy about this that I'd like to explain. So here's a cartoon. So this one person says, well, I think that all lives matter. We should care exactly, equally at all times about everything. All houses matter. I agree. All houses do matter. But at the moment, the one on fire should get more attention. But by saying that a burning house needs attention, aren't you saying all other houses don't matter? No. My house isn't on fire, but I have tried what? Are you saying it should be fixed? It should. But the fire is very pressing. Let's say I put that house fire out, but my house catches on fire. Aren't I entitled to water then? Of course, but it's not the one on fire right now. My house is near the one on fire. If I wet it down, embers won't catch. Sensible? That is completely outside the analogy. Where is that house's owner anyway? Why do I gotta hose down his house for him? He died in the fire. Former President Barack Obama said this about Black Lives Matter movement. I think everybody understands all lives do matter. The reason that the organizers used the phrase Black Lives Matter was not because they were suggesting nobody else's lives matter. Rather, what they were suggesting was there is a specific problem that's happening in the African American community that's not happening in other communities. And that is a legitimate issue that we've got to address. So I happened to come across this video a couple of weeks ago, where George Floyd's daughter was caught on camera saying, "Daddy changed the world." And she was right. One man's death did change the world. And I do hope that, just like COVID-19 response by Korea, that we learn from past mistakes and we correct it. I hope that this movement, this protest, Black Lives Matter movement, is sustained, and hopefully that there will be a long-lasting change to finally get rid of racism, not only back in America, but around the world. I'd like to just close by saying that it's just human nature for us to connect, and that relationships is what matters the most. And we are in an IB World School, and it is so relevant today than more than ever. The message that comes from the IB, that this message is not just a message that just gets hung up on the wall or on a banner, but we actually practice it each and every single day. IB aims to develop inquiring, knowledgeable, and caring young people who help to create a better and more peaceful world through intercultural understanding and respect. Thank you for listening. Now I'd like to introduce a video by Catherine Wu and Global Awareness Committee with a very, very important message. Thank you.
Would you care if I told you that my son was murdered last night? Would you honestly care? Or would you make excuses for his murderer? Would you say you remember that time that he yelled because he was angry? Or the time that he didn't do exactly what he was told? Would you begin to make him fit into the negative stereotypes or create some scandalous role? Would you remember that he used to smile through his sadness and sometimes the isolation? Would you fight for the person you already know, or would you try to say somehow he must have done something wrong?
Taking a look at the past, we all know that violence as a product of a racist mindset took away so many innocent lives. The apartheid, slavery, and segregation left people in fear of their lives. Even after the abolishment of slavery in 1865, racism still exists in all parts of the world. Many people ask why the unjust death of George Floyd had gotten so much attention when there have been incidents like this in the past that were kept quiet. They are right. These are not single occurrences, nor incidents that should go silent. For centuries, the intoxicating idea of racism tore our world apart. George Floyd's death was not the first, and it won't be the last unless we bring change to the way we think.
And this week we talked about the March on Washington and the famous Martin Luther King speech, whose final line said, "Free at last, free at last, free at last." And of course in 2020, just this week, they're not free at last.
So unfortunately, the atrocities and the deaths we have seen in the US are not new, and not confined to one state, or actually even one country. It is just finally the world seems to have stopped to listen, to care, and hopefully this will enact change. No one deserves to live a life of fear.
There's a lot of discrimination in the world, and we shouldn't be happy until people are treated equally.
Human rights are based on universalism, so if you do not show support for the ones who get their rights infringed, you are negating your own rights as well.
I felt that racism is still happening in this world, and racism had happened so many times, and it had happened for so long. And I feel that now that Corona's come, we need to desperately just stop racism and stand united against this illness.
It would be disingenuous of me to even think for 1 second I can fully understand what life is like for a person of colour in America and all over the world. What I can do is check myself and others for racial bias and discrimination, speak out when I see wrongs being done, and educate myself and others on these topics to learn more. I don't believe any of us should be silent right now.
We should make sure that when we are treating each other, we should treat each other with respect, because there are so many different racial ethnicities. We have white, black, and Asian. And from what we've seen throughout the world is that everyone is so about their group, but if we want to create diversity and if we want to maintain diversity, we have to treat everyone as equally as we do to our own groups.
Okay, good morning everyone, and I'd like to introduce on this, the first day really of our Arts Festival. Please have a check through the schedule that I sent you on Friday. A fantastic piece of music performed by Diane Kim in Year 12. She's going to play a piece by Liszt, which is the Liebestraum No. 1.
thank you very much to Dao and Kim for that fantastic piece of music there. I'd also like to thank again Mr. Kieth Yi for his address, which was very interesting and inspiring. I'd also like to thank the Global Awareness Committee for their thought-provoking film. It's very important. And remember, please, that the post-it wall is outside the library. Hopefully it's still there, and you can write your messages of support for the Black Lives Matter campaign. So I'd like to thank you this morning. I hope you all have a great week, and remember to keep calm and wear a mask. Thank you.